Hey guys, got a lot more work done on the Mustang. As I said in the video where I showed you how to basically just put glass on a model airplane, I had mentioned that I was going to be trying something new as far as a resin. So this is what I normally use, or something comparable to it. This is Bob Smith Finish Cure epoxy resin. I've used this for years. I've also used epoxy. I like them both. I don't think I have a preference. I think the Bob Smith is a little bit cheaper. Let's see, these come with how much? Yeah, 13 ounces. You know, so it's a decent size, you know, little tube. But when you're glassing a big airplane, it takes a lot of these, and that price adds up. These are about, I think, 26 bucks. So it adds up pretty quick. So for the ailerons, up until now, I've done the rest of the flight control surfaces, the stab, and the bottom of the fuselage with the Bob Smith. And the ailerons, I use this stuff. This is from Home Depot, at least that's where I got it, and it's called Glaze Coat. You ever go to your favorite restaurant or bar, and when you're sitting down at the table and you notice just how shiny and glossy and smooth it is? This is the kind of stuff that's what this is formulated for. This is for, let's see, what does it say? One coat of this equals 70 coats of varnish. But all it is just epoxy resin. As you can see on the inside, it you know, about the same consistency. I was told this is a little bit thicker than the hobby grade resin, but it's actually pretty comparable, I think. But the main thing is, look at that. And even though there's a lot more here than there, this is also cheaper. At least where I got it. I can't guarantee wherever you're at if it's going to be any cheaper or not. But I wanted to give it a try, because two guys that I fly with have used it and they said they like it. So I gave it a shot on the ailerons. The top side, this only has the first thinned coat. I thinned it the same way I do with the Bob Smith or Z-Epoxy, and it went on well. I mean, it saturated the glass really good, as you can see there. Worked out good. And the bottom has been flow coated. I started sanding it to really get it nice and smooth, but it was still a little tacky, so I stopped. And that leads me to my next point. A good question is, you know, if there's so much more here and it's so much cheaper, I mean, you get a lot more for your money, why does anybody still use this? Like, why would I continue using this? Or why would I continue using this when I got this for a lot cheaper? I'll tell you why. Now, this stuff here, this is made for our hobby. Even though it is a pretty basic finish cure, it is formulated for hobby use. And I say that because, you know, we want this stuff to not set up too fast so we have enough time to glass our airplanes, but at the same time we want it to set up, you know, relatively quick so we can continue the process. So when I get up in the morning, I could glass one side of this aileron. When I get home from work, I can flip it over and glass the other side using this. Not with this guy. Let's see here. The flow coat on the aileron, I put this on, I think, yesterday, late afternoon. So it's been more than 24 hours, or maybe right around 24 hours. And even though it's dry, I mean, I can touch it. It's not sticking to my fingers, but I really can't sand it. As you can see on the trailing edge where I started sanding, it got a little sticky. So it takes a lot longer to dry. That is the main downside. to using something such as the glaze coat. There's other ones out there. This is just the one that I had available to me. So at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the rest of the airplane in this, just because you get so much more for your money. And, you know, why not? But you can see this one I started to sand. This one's still unmolested, and it turned out really good. So that's that. Anyways, excuse me, onward. Got a little bit more work done on the rest of the carcass. I mentioned in the past about using the Red Devil spackle to fill in imperfections before you glass, and this is what I mean. You can see on the tail where it's already been done, and when I sanded it, there's very little of it left. Well, this is what it looked like before I sanded it. And the reason I do it this way is, you know, there's a lot of little dings and stuff in there, and gouges and all sorts of stuff. But when you trowel this stuff on, I mean, I literally just dip my hand right in the container and then just start smearing it on. Because my hand is not going to go into those little cracks and crevices and dings and divots. It's going to smear it right over the top. So when I sand it, all those little imperfections will be filled. Then when I glass it, I'm going to have less body work to do before I paint it. So that's the reason for doing this. And it's on there so thin that it's super easy to sand. It doesn't make a lot of mess, so that's good. Let's see, it's been a few videos now, but I remember telling you about the wing fairings and how, you know, I got a little schmutz on it right there, on how I wasn't too concerned about how rough the edges were, and that's because I hadn't blended it to the wing yet. But now I have done that. Now when you look at it, when the wing's on there, it is perfectly contoured to the wing. And the way I did that, and I'm going to have to do it different in the future, I wrapped the center section of the wing in wax paper. I should have gone an extra step because this method did not work extremely well. So I coated the wing with wax paper, set it aside. I flipped the fuselage upside down, and using a 1-inch putty knife, started layering a thick layer of the Red Devil spackle on the underside of the wing saddle. So that way when I put the wing on, it just smeared it and it all kind of oozed out and oozed into the airplane. And so once the wing was tight, then I went back and used my fingers and just kind of smoothed it out. And the idea was, when it dries, it wouldn't stick to the wax paper. Well, I figured that would be the case, but it turns out this stuff sticks to wax paper. It turned out okay. I was still able to get the wing off and everything, but it didn't separate as well as I had hoped. But now, and then I went ahead and sanded the sides, and now it, like I said, it fits real nice to the wing. That's what we want. It's easy, it's cheap. I had a bad joke that I was getting ready to say, but no, I don't think so. So there we have it. I'm going to continue using this stuff for now. I'm not gonna say yay or nay on using it in future projects until I finish the ailerons. This is kind of going to be my test. Before I even think about starting the wing or fuselage as far as glassing, with this stuff here, I want these to be completely finished so I can get a good idea just how long they have to sit before I can sand them. How well are they going to sand? Because you'd think resin's resin, you know, what's the difference? So, but so far I like it, with the exception of how long it takes to dry. And You probably all know me by now. I'm very impatient. So waiting even longer, kind of pisses me off. But I like a good value. I'm a highly underpaid maintenance guy, so anytime I can save a couple bucks, that really benefits me big time. So I'll very easily be able to do the rest of the airplane with what's in here. Of course, in that one too, but because they mix the same 50-50. The other thing that I have noticed, when you're mixing resins like this, the hardener is usually a different color, almost like a yellow. So when you put it in a mixing cup and you start pouring it in, you can see the different layers in there. But this stuff is crystal clear. So it was hard to tell how much I put in the cup. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting little lines on my cup so I know to put my hardener from the bottom to the first line, then the resin from the between the first and second line. And if I'm thinning it, then I'll put another line of equal distance between these two above it. So then I'll have 3 layers that I can clearly see through my little cup. So it makes measuring it pretty easy. So I'll get some more work done on this, and I'll bring you back on my final yes or no. Is it worth using, or should we stick to what was made for us? Later.